Dogbeard and Captain Patch's Treasure. Chapter 1. The Toughest Pirate in Webkinz World. Dogbeard was not only the toughest pirate to sail the 5 seas of Webkinz World, he was also the bravest and the strongest. Yes, the briny blue ocean was where Dogbeard felt happiest. That's why he really hated going home for the holidays. For 2 whole weeks he had to dock his ship, the SS Pugsley, forget about being a tough and brave pirate, and put up with his mum, dad, and most terribly his little sister, Laura. Laura was 7 years younger than Dogbeard, and they did not get along very well. It's probably because they were exact opposites. Well, except for one thing. They were both very, very loud. Other than that, they had completely different interests. Laura loved to read books, play dress-up, and study maps. Dogbeard loved being a pirate. Despite their differences, their mum always tried to encourage them to be friends. This holiday was no different. As soon as Dogbeard arrived at home, his mum said, "Dear, I'd like you to do me a big favour. Your dad and I are going on a trip. We need someone to look after Laura." "What?" Dogbeard exclaimed. "Stay home and look after my goony little sister." "I don't think so. As soon as Christmas is over, I'm back on the high seas to look for Captain Patch's treasure." "Well, that's wonderful," Dogbeard's mum smiled. "You can take Laura with you." Chapter 2. An Uninvited Passenger. Dogbeard was stunned. "I am not taking my little sister on a voyage. She'll mess everything up. She's no pirate." "Well, there's no one better to teach her than you," Dogbeard's mum said. "But, Mom," Dogbeard whined. "But nothing," she said. "Laura is going, and that's that." Dogbeard knew there was no point in arguing. His mum had made up her mind. Dogbeard spent the rest of his Christmas holiday dreading his first day back at sea. Before he knew it, 2 weeks had flown by, and he was packing his trunks to return to his ship. Laura skipped into his room. She was packing her trunks too. "Hey, Doggy Bee," she hollered. "What should I bring on the cruise?" Dogbeard sighed. "First of all, it's not Doggy Bee. Second of all, it's not a cruise, it's a voyage." "Whatever," Laura sang. "What do I need to bring? A bathing suit? A camera? Sandals?" "Bring something to keep yourself occupied. I'll be too busy to babysit you." Dogbeard frowned. "This is an important voyage. I'm trying to find Captain Patch's treasure. Your job will be to stay out of my way." "That's no fun," Laura protested. "I can help you. Have you got any maps? I'm great at navigating, and I've been reading about—" "Look," Dogbeard interrupted. "I don't care what you think you're good at. On my ship, you're just a pest." Laura frowned. She stomped back to her room. Dogbeard rolled his eyes. This was going to be some voyage. Chapter 3. Setting Sail. Anchor. Check. Backup masts. Check. Eye patches? Check. Bubblegum. Bubblegum? "Laura!" Dogbeard shouted, glaring at his sister. "We do not need bubblegum on our voyage." "I need it," Laura protested. "I can't live without bubblegum." Dogbeard's eyebrows knitted. Laura opened her mouth to argue, but the look on her brother's face kept her from speaking. Okay, she muttered, stomping down to the deck below. Dogbeard continued checking off his checklist along with his friend First Mate Pete. When they were sure they were ready, they decided to pull up the anchor and set sail. "First we go west," Dogbeard commanded. He took a deep breath and looked out over the ocean. The waves were gentle and the sky was a turquoise blue. "This be excellent sailing weather," he said to his crew. "It's going to be the perfect voyage." Suddenly, from behind him, Dogbeard heard his little sister. She was talking to his crew. "Yeah, my brother said I could come on this voyage. This is a dream come true for him. He loves having me along." "Laura!" Dogbeard hollered. "Come here now!" Laura skipped over. "I like life on the sea," she began. "It's fun. I investigated the boat and found a kitchen and bedrooms and—" "Laura!" Dogbeard interrupted. "I am the captain of this ship. You need to be following my rules. My rules are simple. Stay out of my way and don't talk to my crew." "I'm doing Mom and Dad a favor. I don't want you here. Remember that." Chapter 4. The Brave Brine Shrimp. Laura's cheeks grew pink. The crew started to laugh. "Oh, poor kid," Pete said. "Don't be mean to the wee brine shrimp, Dogbeard." "I'm not a shrimp," Laura yelled. "I am a brave girl, and I could find the treasure all by myself." The crew laughed harder. Tears pricked Laura's eyes. She ran downstairs into her sleeping quarters. "This isn't fair," she said, kicking her bedpost. "They get to have all the fun and I get left out just because I'm Doggy Bee's little sister. I'll show them." Laura had secretly made a copy of Dogbeard's map to Captain Patch's treasure. She spread it out on the desk and took out her package of markers. She started to plot the ship's course. She mused after a few moments. "I hope Doggy Bee remembers that at this time of year there are usually bad storms at the deep-sea trench. We should reach the trench in an hour." Laura gasped. "Maybe I should tell him," she said, circling the trench with her red marker. She ran up the stairs and found Dogbeard at the helm, ordering his crew around. "Doggy Bee," she yelled, running over to him, "I have something to tell you." "Doggy Bee?" First Mate Pete jeered. "That'd be a great name, Captain." What do you want?" Dogbeard asked, through gritted teeth. "I was looking at the map and I found something that you might—" "You were reading my map?" Dogbeard turned red. "No one reads my maps." "No, I was reading my copy of it," Laura explained. "What?" Dogbeard was furious. "How could you?" Dogbeard threw up his paws in anger. He stormed into the captain's quarters and slammed the door. Chapter 5. Laura Beard at the helm. "Doggy Bee, wait," Laura banged on the door. "I have to tell you something important." "Leave him be," Pete advised. "He's in a most unpleasant mood." "But, Pete," Laura protested, "we're travelling right into the deep-sea trench. The storms are really bad at this time of year. Many ships have been lost." Pete's face grew pale. "You're right," he gasped. "We are on course for the trench. What should we do?" "It's too late to change direction," Laura frowned. "But I know how we can survive. First, batten down the hatches." The crew ran around the ship, tying things in place and making everything secure. Dogbeard, meanwhile, was in the captain's quarters, fuming. "How could my own little sister double-cross me, stealing my map? Yah!" Outside, the weather was growing stormier. The clouds piled up overhead like thunderous mountains in the sky. "Hurry, team," Laura commanded. "Everyone should go downstairs except those who absolutely must be up here. The weather is about to get a lot worse." Dogbeard was so mad that he didn't notice the rocking of the ship. Overhead, the rain had started, and Laura and Pete were the only two on the deck. Laura was at the helm. "If we steer a hard right, we should be able to avoid the worst parts of the storm, and we should still be on course for the treasure." "You're a natural pirate," Pete commented. "I read a lot," Laura grinned as the ship was hit by a huge wave. Had Dogbeard bothered to go back upstairs, he would have been shocked to see his beloved ship being battered by humongous waves and pounding rain. More shocking, though, was Laura acting as though she had been sailing all her life. Chapter 6. A New Captain. After an hour of rough sailing, the storm cleared. The crew emerged from the lower deck and started applauding Laura. Dogbeard thought the applause was for him. "They want me to come out," Dogbeard smiled. "Well, okay." Dogbeard emerged, bowing. When he looked up, he saw his crew surrounding his sister. "What is this about?" he barked. "Your sister is quite a pirate," Pete said. "She got us through a huge storm. No thanks to you, by the way." Dogbeard's jaw dropped. "Maybe she should be the captain," his friend Joe commented. Laura smiled. "You want her to be the captain?" Dogbeard asked incredulously, gesturing to his sister. "Well, she did save our ship," Pete reminded him. Fine, that's fine." Dogbeard's mouth became a thin line. He ran to his quarters and emerged shortly after with his bag packed and his map rolled up. "You can have Laura. She can be your captain. I'll just take the rowboat and find the island and the treasure myself. You don't need me after all." "Doggy Bee, wait," Laura said, grabbing her brother's paw. "Don't go." "First of all, the name is Dogbeard, fiercest pirate in the sea. Second of all, let go of me. Third of all, you've made yourself a very powerful enemy." Dogbeard lowered the rowboat over the edge of the ship and climbed into it. "Goodbye, crew, and good luck. I am going to find Captain Patch's treasure. You'll be lucky if you can ever find your way home again." With that, Dogbeard began rowing furiously. The crew looked at Laura. She looked back at them. "What did I do?" she asked, feeling awful. "You caused a mutiny," Pete said, shaking his head sadly. "You didn't mean to, but you overthrew the captain." Chapter 7. Dogbeard, come back. Laura looked around the deck. The crew looked back at her. While Laura was good in a crisis, she really knew nothing about being a captain. "What do I do now?" she whispered to Pete. "Tell them to get to work," Pete whispered back. "Get to work," Laura yelled. The crew did. "This is easy," Laura grinned. When the crew was done working, they came to Laura. "What now, Captain?" I don't know," Laura stammered. The crew started to smirk. Then they started to run around the ship and play loud pirate games. Laura frowned. "Stop that!" she yelled. They ignored her. She glanced over the side of the ship and saw her brother paddling his rowboat frantically about 10 feet ahead of them. "Dogbeard!" Laura called. "Please come back and be the captain. I have no idea what to do." "No," Dogbeard puffed. "I'm happy in my rowboat. You can be the captain." "No, really," Laura pleaded. "I'm good at map reading and getting through storms, but I don't know how to be a captain." Dogbeard stuck his tongue out at his sister. "Too bad for you," he said, and rowed a little harder. Laura sighed. "Aren't you getting tired?" "No," Dogbeard insisted. "I am not. I once rowed for 12 hours straight and did not even break a sweat. I am fine." After 3 more hours in the rowboat, Dogbeard was getting tired. After 5 more hours, he was exhausted. After 10 more hours, he fell asleep. Pete lowered himself into the rowboat and carried the sleeping captain back into his quarters on the ship. Laura was glad to have Dogbeard back. The pirates were still running all over the ship, being very loud and piratey. Chapter 8. Navigator Laura Beard. Dogbeard woke up bright and early. "Ugh," he groaned, thinking of another day of rowing his little rowboat. When he opened his eyes, however, he saw his captain's quarters around him. "What am I doing here?" he asked to no one in particular. "We brought you back up. We need you, Doggy B." Laura was standing in the doorway. "Your crew of unruly pirates hasn't stopped partying since last night. You've got to do something." Dogbeard frowned. "Don't you want to be the captain?" "No!" Laura yelled. "Look, I'm sorry I saved your ship. I'm sorry I was good in a crisis." "Next time I'll just run and hide like you did." Dogbeard gulped. He realized what he had done. "You're right," he admitted. "You did save the ship. You were good in a crisis. You are a good sailor, Laura." "I know," Laura smiled. "But you're a good captain, and your crew needs you now." Dogbeard leapt out of bed and ran upstairs. When he reached the upper deck, he found his pirates playing games, running around and causing a loud ruckus. "This be your captain, ordering you to stop!" Dogbeard hollered. His crew was shocked to see him. "Dogbeard," they exclaimed, "you're back." "Yes, I am," Dogbeard said, stomping his paw. "And this pirate party is going to stop. Now get to work, you scurvy dogs. We have a treasure to find." The crew got busy, and Dogbeard took the steering wheel. "Which way, Navigator Laura?" "You want me to navigate?" Laura was incredulous. "Yup," Dogbeard grinned. Laura took out her copy of the map. "Stay on course, Dogbeard. We should reach Captain Patch's treasure by tonight." Chapter 9. Treasure. Just as Laura had predicted, the ship docked on the sandy island late that night. They set up camp and vowed to look for the treasure the next morning. The whole crew was awake, bright and early. "I'm going to take my half of the treasure and donate it to the museum," Laura said to Dogbeard as they began following the map to the treasure. "Hold on a second," Dogbeard frowned. "You don't get any treasure. I get the treasure. This is my voyage. I'm the captain." "I got us here," Laura protested. "I deserve half the treasure." "We didn't need you," Dogbeard growled. "I let you be the navigator. That was my idea. The treasure is mine." Laura and Dogbeard paused for just a moment and then broke into a sprint toward the place they thought the treasure was buried. The crew jogged along behind them. "The treasure is here!" Laura indicated a spot in the sand. "Whoever helps me can share it." "The treasure is here," Dogbeard yelled, pointing to another spot about 4 feet to the left. "If you don't help me, you'll never come on another voyage with me again." The crew was divided in half. Gradually, the sand was cleared. When both teams had dug about 20 feet down, there was a simultaneous thump. "Ha," Dogbeard said. "We found the treasure box." "So did we," Laura countered, making a face. The treasure box spanned the length of the sand between the two holes. It was huge. The teams hoisted it carefully onto the sand. Dogbeard and Laura both jumped onto it. "It's mine," Dogbeard said. "It's mine," Laura screamed. Suddenly they heard a voice from behind them. "Actually," the voice said, "it's mine." Chapter 10. The Sweetest Surprise. Laura and Dogbeard turned around to see none other than Captain Patches watching them fight over his treasure. "Captain Patches, what are you doing here?" "I've been living here for years," Captain Patches smiled. "You're the first two brave pirates to find my treasure." "Well, technically she's not a pirate," Dogbeard retorted. "And he's not brave," Laura growled. "That's too bad," Captain Patches said. "Because I would only share my treasure with brave pirates. But if neither of you are brave pirates, I guess I'll just have to keep it and wait for someone else to find it." "Wait," Laura said quickly. "I mean, maybe I was too hasty. Doggy B, that is, Dogbeard is brave. He is a great captain, after all." "So he should get all the treasure?" Captain Patches asked. "No," Dogbeard sighed. "Laura should get some too. I think that after saving our ship, she's definitely earned the title of honorary pirate. In fact, I think she deserves a pirate name. Let's call her Laura Beard." Laura smiled a big smile. "Hooray for Pirate Laura Beard!" The crew cheered. "Excellent," Captain Patches grinned. "Then let's open the treasure box." The crew gathered around and broke the lock. They opened the lid to reveal mountains of golden coins. "Ooh," Dogbeard breathed. "There must be millions in there." "Take a coin," Captain Patches ordered. The whole crew did. "Now unwrap it." Some coins were made of chewy bubble gum, some coins were made of hard candy, and some coins were made of the richest, sweetest chocolate they had ever tasted. The candy was so good, it was the best treasure Dogbeard had ever found. Chapter 11. Meetings and Partings. After taking lots of candy onto their ship and thanking Captain Patches several times, Laura Beard and Dogbeard started the long voyage home. "I'm sorry you had to take me on this trip," Laura Beard said to her brother the night before they docked in Kinsville. "I know it hasn't been easy having your little sister here." Dogbeard smiled. "No, it hasn't," he said, "but it taught me a lot of things, like how to be a better captain." Laura Beard grinned. "Really? I taught you that?" "Yup," Dogbeard admitted. "You did." When the ship arrived in Kinsville Harbour the next morning, Dogbeard's and Laura Beard's mum and dad came running up to them as they walked onto the dock. "How did the voyage go?" their mother asked. "Aren't you glad you took your sister along?" "Yeah, it was okay," Dogbeard shrugged. "It wasn't totally awful," Laura Beard said non-committally. "I mean, Doggy B was really bossy." "Yeah, and she was a big pain," Dogbeard said, rolling his eyes. "Well, I'm glad the two of you spent some time together," their dad said, "even if you didn't have very much fun." Dogbeard's family watched him walk back up the gangplank onto his ship. Laura Beard ran after him and grabbed his paw. "I don't care that we didn't find riches and gold," Laura Beard smiled. "That was an awesome adventure. Same time next year?" Dogbeard raised his eyebrows and grinned as his little sister ran off the ship. The SS Pugsley began to pull out of the harbour, and Laura Beard stood on the dock and waved frantically. Dogbeard gave Laura Beard the thumbs-up sign as the shoreline faded from sight. After that trip, Dogbeard didn't dread going home anymore. In fact, sometimes he kind of looked forward to it.